All right, we do want to start off with that record-breaking surge we saw today, partially, of course, as I mentioned, pushed by that hope for more stimulus. Why does Wall Street like the prospect of more stimulus so much?
Well, considering that 70% of our gross domestic product is based on consumer spending, that stimulus is going to go a long way, both physically and emotionally. For one, we have a lot of pent-up consumer demand anyway, in that people are just itching to go out and spend money. They want to buy, they want to go to restaurants, they want to travel, they want to congregate with one another again. And so that is really what that money will represent. Whether it pays the bills or not is almost irrelevant at this point. And the other reason is that there's been a switch in psychology this year, and that people are taking stimulus money and they're investing it back into the market. And so that also has been an interesting twist in terms of just helping bolster the market with huge speculative interest this year, unlike what we have seen maybe historically. So that will certainly be I think, a plus. Whether or not it has ramifications with growth of money supply and inflation, that remains to be seen, but the initial thrust will be a good one.
With the White House and both chambers of Congress now going to Democrats, some major tax changes are expected to be implemented rather quickly. What do you expect to see happen on Wall Street if Biden's tax agenda is enacted?
Well, he's got a lot on his plate to get started. And as you know, the first 100 days is always the key to any new administration. And I doubt very much that that's going to be first on his agenda, because he knows that we still have, even though Wall Street's not reflecting it, a fragile economy. So I would expect that with COVID and getting vaccines out and any other further unrest that might develop as a result of the transition, although I suspect it'll be peaceful, all of these things, the trade wars, all of the stuff that has been left on his plate to deal with, healthcare, all of this will come up first before tax increases. So, and also, even though we have a 50-50 Senate, there'll still be a lot of more conservative leaning Democrats there. So it may not be as easy to pass, even if it does come up, as one would think.
2020 was, of course, a wild year for the market, a major sell-off in the spring followed by a record-setting rally in the later half of the year. The driving force of that rally, of course, were the tech stocks, particularly led by Tesla. Elon Musk became the richest person in the world today. How long do you expect Tesla's surge to continue?
Well, it could go to 1,000. There was certainly, Wedbush had put out a recommendation towards 1,000 a while ago, and it sounded a little nuts at the time. Now it sounds a lot more realistic. There was also a upgrade by RBC Capital today, but their upgrade was to $700, so it makes you wonder, that was like $125 ago. But also Tesla is getting huge demand in China. That's really helping. It's the second largest electric car sales in China is Tesla. And Tesla has also figured out how to have inexpensive capital come in, its growth, it's making money from service industries. And Musk himself, it's more than a car at this point, it's a movement. It also represents SpaceX and the next frontier of space travel. So at this point, I would say 700 is probably a good floor now to use as a risk point. But we'll see. It's as you know, Greta, who would have predicted the market is here? So it's really hard, or Bitcoin for that matter, it's really hard to predict where Tesla is going to go.
When we're looking back on 2020, you know, we all look at it as though we would have never expected that to happen. So when we're looking forward to 2021, what are your overall expectations for this year on Wall Street?
Well, as I said, I think because of the consumer demand, that pent-up consumer demand, because hopefully we will get some kind of an infrastructure bill passed finally after sitting through the last 3 administrations without one, because we are already seeing a rotation into small cap growth stocks, cyclical stocks, industrial manufacturing stocks, retail stocks, and hopefully transportation will follow, particularly with an infrastructure bill. I see things looking pretty good right now. Of course, as a trader, I'm always looking for the bubble that could burst it. Interest rates might be the bubble, but at this point, even that with yields up, I'm not too worried about the interest rates. And of course, we're also always looking at what's happening with inflation. It's more insidious than typical because it's not the normal metrics that we're seeing it measured in. We're seeing it measured really basically in supplies like steel, copper, and food, wheat, corn, soybeans. All these things have skyrocketed. And with food in particular, There's been a low supply because farmers stopped producing. We have La Nina coming into play, which creates drought. And then we've had supply chain disruption, low labor force. This, to me, would be the thing to keep an eye on as we're going into 2021. Otherwise, I say right now, we're looking at a huge burst of growth for the next first into second quarter.
Want to see more videos like this? Visit OANN.com for immediate access to all the clips you've been waiting to see.